Okay, Tzarayim Tov, everybody. We continue in the next installment of Eshpoch Lefanov Sichi. We're discussing how much time we should spend on HISBODEDUS. And the next point we said, even if you can't do the full hour, you should do something, but it has to be consistent. That was a very important point. Now he's going to add on the top of page Aleph another important point. Od Hosif B'noam Sichoso. And he also added in his beautiful speech, I guess from Rabbi Meir, from Yaakov Meir Shechter, in order, a very important thing in order to get to the gates of the advice of HISBODEDUS. Lo l'kaim chalila eshas HISBODEDUS im nervin. You should not fulfill this is with nerves, being nervous. Kolomar, meaning to say im hakpada, that your particular chashush is concerned, velachats, and pressure. For example, you're doing this, and how much time you're going to do? Let's say you're going for the hour. Is the hour over? How much time passed? Like, are we there yet? Is my prison time finished? How much time I have to put into this? Have I fulfilled my obligation of the hour in a complete way? Maybe I'm missing a couple minutes. In other words, don't become, what's the word? Neurotic about this. Just do it. Don't worry. Don't look at the clock. You got to pour your heart out to Hashem without feeling this constrainment. That's going to disturb greatly one's presence of mind. And the ability to pour your heart out before Hashem. These are the words of a wise person. In other words, whatever amount of time you're going to put, it's not going to help if you're looking at your watch every minute. Because you know what? When you look at your watch, time goes slow, number one. Number two, your mind is focused on the time and not on Hashem. So you're going to say, so how do I know how much time I've spent? Well, I can give you one simple answer. Just put your watch or something on a timer. That's all. Set the time for how much time you want to do HISBODEDUS. So whatever that time is, put the timer, put it away, and just start talking. Now, even though the timer will go off, you can say, well, I'm not done. I want to continue. That's great. But you keep going without worrying about the time. Just pour your heart out. Don't be worried. Did I do it right? Did I not? Nobody's grading your papers here. This is not going to be a difference if you're going to get to go to graduate school. Just enjoy it. That's the point. So don't worry about those points. Okay, now, after all this introduction into this topic, we get to the next part that's called Hanhoga Lamaisa. Practical application. Okay, after discussing an hour, not an hour, what's the best way, why the other teachers didn't say an hour, only to a few people. So let's get to the bottom line. Bitkuva Rishona, in the first time that you work on this, you have to have enough time that you can at least accomplish the following. 2, 1, lahodos Hashem, to give thanks to Hashem. That's how you start. You say, Hashem, I want to thank you for the following. Number 2, lavakesh mimenu, to make a request from Hashem. Lefaresh sichasel of Hashem, to expand your speech before Hashem. Lishpoch es halev, to pour your heart. Ledaber imo kedaber ishim reu, to speak to him like a person speaks to his friend. Ladun, to judge, velishpot as myself, and to judge his actions, v'shavush, to tshuva. Ulispala lischanin love shekarav oscha lavodos, and daven and supplicate that Hashem should bring you close to his avoda. That sounds like a lot of things, but and you could make a little checklist. In other words, you might forget, so not to be nervous. Put down on a piece of paper. First, start by thanking Hashem. Remember this is a lot of things. You may not get to all the items on the agenda. Remember, we discussed 18 things, and we said that the first two that are critical and have to be in order is you have to be excited to speak to Hashem and the yearning for him, and thank Hashem for what he's done for you. That must be. So you got to, psych yourself up. Boy, this is going to be great. I'm not going to be disturbed. I really want to talk to Hashem. And you start by thanking Hashem. How far back should I go? As far as you think it's proper. You can go back. You could say, listen, I want to thank Hashem for the following. And really articulate it. Not just say, for a good life. Articulate it. Baruch Hashem. Have you ever gone hungry? You were starving in a concentration camp for 6 years. No. Every day. The worst was you didn't have, all the gluttonous stuff you wanted. Your fridge is always full. I mean, there's so many different ways of describing this. If you're happily married, you could talk about that. All right. There's lots to thank Hashem. That alone could take more than 5 minutes. Okay. So that's number one. And then and as we're talking to Hashem and pouring your heart like a friend, and to say, you can either say, listen, I want to think, certain things I'd like to ask you. I need certain things. So I want to talk to you about it. I want to grow spiritually. And here's areas that I'm finding trouble. And to daven to Hashem about that. Or you could say there's certain things that I have to admit to you, Hashem, that I have not been doing properly, and I'm sorry about it. There's plenty to talk about. Okay? So now, here's the time. Zman zehula pachos. The minimum should be kireva ad chasi shavim, at least 15 minutes to 30 minutes. Try to make it 15 minutes. That's what he is saying. That's something that is of substance. Although we'll see, it might be modified, but 15 is not that long as you think it is. It's not that short, but it's not that long, and if you just start talking about, start thanking Hashem for when you were a baby. And if you notice, isn't that what the Torah readings are all about in Sefer Dvarim, where Moshe tells the Jewish people how much Hashem was with you the 40 years in the desert, and how your clothes didn't wear out, and all these different things that one can talk about. There's so much to thank. You did not die in the coronavirus. And most of you didn't get corona. Okay? That's something to thank Hashem. Thank Hashem if you were able to go to shul. Thank Hashem if you don't feel afraid to go. There's so many different things everybody could thank Hashem for, without doubt. Thank Hashem that your house did not collapse. Your shul did not collapse. Okay, you've been able to pay the bills during Corona. You haven't been unemployed during Corona. There's so many things to thank Hashem for. So, and so that's what he is suggesting, a minimum of 15 minutes. Okay. Hanisoyan mochiach. What do you call it? Past, we know by past experiences of people. It's hard to start with an hour. That won't last more than a couple days. I don't even think it'll last one day. After a few times going an hour, and then you stop. Then there's disappointment and despair. It's almost going to make a decision. Shanik, father, I can't do this. This is impossible. So now I can't do it. So don't start that way. Start with 15 minutes to half an hour. I won't even say half an hour. Let's just say 15 minutes. But make with a complete acceptance, a complete decision from the first moment. Esezos yom yom. I will do this every day. That means 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And if possible, he'll talk more about this in a moment, ba'osa makom uba'osa zman, at the same place and at the same time. We'll talk about why that's so important. Of course, you have to know Shekol hahascholos kashas. All beginnings are hard. And of course, the opposition, the loyal opposition. Who the first term of loyal opposition was? The Yetzer Hara. He's loyal to Hashem, and his job is to oppose us. So the loyal opposition will do everything you can to stop the kfiyus. But it's good to know. It's worthwhile to know. It was just like in any holy enterprise. Until you merit to have this firmly established, strong and standing. Over him, we pass through. Let me move this over. Hang on. We pass through Mavorim Rabbi. We pass through many bridges. Even if you can't fulfill it every day. Even if you miss the day, don't be dispirited and weakened. And don't fall. Because the post says that tzaddik falls 7 times and then gets up. So even if you fail, keep going. But don't fail. In other words, you've got to do like you do with your calendar. There are certain things all of you somehow don't skip. How many of you, besides a fast day, skip supper? How many suppers have you skipped lately? Like mom say, I'm not going to eat supper today. Not really. So you have to put a time where there's nothing that can stop you from doing it. So you have to figure out, when is that time? Where is that place? That's part of your daily schedule, your daily routine. And if you should miss, okay, continue the next day and try not to miss the next day. Okay, let's continue. Kidai lachok alev, it's good to etch into our hearts the words from Rabbi Nosson in Likutei Halachos. He says, it's impossible for us to start immediately with the loftiest services to Hashem. Hashem does not want people to go to the heavens, meaning to say, Hashem does not want you to make lofty service dafka that you're not able to do. Hashem doesn't want that. Hashem wants a person to do what he can on his level. To draw himself little by little, like we say in the morning in our davening, in the long bracha of the standing 15 brachas, and accustom us in your Torah. Get us used to your Torah. Shetargilenu dafka. Doesn't say to learn Torah, but to get you to make it a habit, a fresh habit. I always learn Torah. You only have to go from level to the very next little level that's very close to you. That's all you got to do. Don't jump from 0 to 100. Take what you can. Now, really, 15 minutes is very doable. But for those of you who have really very slow, a lot of ADD, and for you 15 minutes is a year, okay, then even start with 5 minutes. But I'm looking at the present company that we're dealing with over here, and I think 15 minutes can be handled as long as you make sure to and if you don't have 15 minutes to say what thanks to Hashem, then you've been sleeping through your life. You've been at least the first time, right? And you'll see there's like so much more that one can do. But just start. Another piece of advice for the beginner. Rabbi Nezrol said that many are helped through this. And I really wouldn't have come on to this, but unless it wasn't for it, because I heard from Rabbi Yitzchak, a bender. I heard from him say in the name of Rabbi Avram, Rabbi Nachman, Rabbi Avram, the son of Rabbi Nachman. You could, it's not optional, to divide the hispos into 2 times. Chasi shah b'chol pam, a half an hour each time. So you get up to an hour, you can divide up to a half an hour. Now, Kimuvan has we can't make this like with nails, a firm and unbreakable rule. Kalkain, Shonahi, may Adam Lana. Every person's different. He pluyabale, the nefesh, but moichesh depends on your heart, your soul, your brain power. So just like any things in life you go through. But we could, as an example, say, maybe spend one part of the time saying praises to Hashem, and requests to get close to Hashem. And another one, and the other one to engage with yearnings and longings, or making spiritual calculations, or similarly. So it's possible. Now, certainly this is not, dividing it up is not initially the best way. As many people who are involved in HISBODEDUS, he says the real time you really open up is in the second half. In other words, after the first half hour, the real opening comes in the second half. You know, it's similar to that, running or walking. You go the first half hour, that's great. But when you really lose and burn off the calories, the second half hour. When you keep going and going. So it's not the best to break it up, but if you have to, it is a way out. But sometimes, when there is no other solution, you should know it's in your arsenal of possibilities. Because it's better to split it up than to not do his first all. We say, no, there's no way I got 15 minutes today. I can't even breathe. I got 5 minutes now. Okay, that was out. Maybe 10 minutes later. Because if you can't do that, fine. Maybe for beginners. But really, you should really try to make it into 15. Now look for an example. Meant to the question that many people say, can you divide the hispos into more sections, more than 2? I'll write what I heard from one of the tzaddikim when they talk about making the ketores. It says pitma lechatzayin ksher. If you make it to half the recipe, it's kosher. A third or a fourth, we never heard a ruling on that if it's kosher. So therefore, I'll say the same thing. I've heard that a half, breaking it in 2 is fine. More than I haven't heard. Now, we have to emphasize. We're speaking about someone who's entered into the service of Hashem and really wants to serve Hashem properly. So you have to know certain times where we fall. And sometimes whatever you get is precious to Hashem, even if it's a little bit. For example, when times are really stressful, you can even value 5 minutes. This is not lechatchila. This is b'diavad. 5 minutes is still worth something. As to give a story with Rabbi Nosson, was once Ba'esha who was very, very busy. It was an Erev Shabbos. And he wanted to talk to Hashem. He's very anxious and he wanted to talk to Hashem very badly. Okay, so what did he do? V'amar letalmido Rabbi Nachman mitol shin. He told one of his students, Rabbi Nachman, not the Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, but Rabbi Nachman of Tolshin. He said to him, Shiyasim late, that he should pay attention. Let me know when 5 minutes are up. It was like Mamish coming right before Shkia. Rabbi Nosson had no time to talk to him. It's like, it was crazy. He said, I can't go into Shabbos without some HISBODEDUS. He tells, set the timer. Let me know when 5 minutes are up. That's what he did. And then when the 5 minutes were up, what did Rabbi Nosson say in Yiddish? That was a groise 5 minute. That was a big 5 minutes. Chamesh dakos gedols. That was a big 5 minutes. And the truth is, everyone has these times. We should do that way. In other words, you got to always, when things are really going crazy, and you just haven't done any HISBODEDUS yet, and you got to do it. 5 good minutes is better than nothing. Now, obviously, 15 is better than 5, and an hour is better than 15. But to say, well, what can I accomplish in 5 minutes? Let me tell you what you can accomplish in 5 minutes. Have you ever had an experience that in less than 5 minutes, honestly, in less than 15 seconds, you said something that totally got you in the biggest trouble possible? How long does it take to get yourself in trouble?
Yeah, you try and reach for the words to bring them back, and you can't.
Yes, and how long did it take? What does it take? 15 seconds? No, you tell your wife, for a fat lady, you look pretty good. That's it. That's it. You know how much damage you've done? How many years it'll take to fix it up?
Never forgotten.
Yes, and we know that the Midah of Tov is 500 times better than the Midah of Ra. So don't you think you can accomplish something when you say something good? So therefore you can have a grace of finif minut. You can have a very large 5 minutes. Again, that's not the optimal, but whatever you get is a great thing. And this is how the earlier Hasidim discussed their discussion with Hashem. You're very busy on an Erev Yontiv or an Erev Shabbos, and that was the story with Rabbi Nosson. You feel like you're losing it. It's only Snase Mikol Tirdosav. Just remove yourself from all the concerns. Designate a short amount to pray to Hashem. Kigam chamesh dakos and gedolim ma'od, because 5 minutes can be very big. Okay, but yesh lo adam lisamis b'kol kol chalasas HISBODEDUS b'kfiyus yom yom. You gotta do the HISBODEDUS with a kfiyus, with a set daily amount. And now he's going to discuss on Kuf Daled, why is the kfiyus so important? And this is a fascinating idea. We're going to take the realm of halacha and apply it to hashkafa, chasidus. This is the way you take brute halacha and make it into a real idea of chasidus. We have a rule. The Gemara in Ksuva says, Kol kavua kemechza al mechza. Anything that's coming from a set place is decided as 50-50. Let me tell you what we're talking about. Let's say I have 9 pieces of kosher meat and 1 piece of treif meat. Okay, and what happens? They get mixed up and you don't know which, or let's say 1 piece is taken out from that area and you don't know what it is. Well, we have a rule. You usually go after the majority. We go after the majority. And therefore we can assume it's kosher. Assume it's kosher. But that's when those items, let's say, we're carrying a bunch of items and then something dropped or whatever. But then as they call kavua. But if you went into a butcher shop and there were 9 pieces of kosher meat and 1 piece of treif meat, and now you're in that place where it's kavua, where everything is set. And now the question arrives then it's called 50-50. It's called 50-50. So it's for reasons we're not going to get into. It's very complicated halacha discussion. But even though we normally go with a majority,
it's less.
Even though we normally go with the majority, we're not talking where something has left the area, but it's still it started off kavua. It was stationary in this place originally. The 90-10 becomes 50-50. And therefore we got to be strict. We have to be strict. That's the way we look at it. I don't want to get into the details. But so here he says, even though the majority is 9 against 1, but the one is stationary, Dina Kametza, change 7 to 50-50. Okay, davar she'ein kavua mebechinas hamakom v'zman, but something that's not stationary in an aspect of time and place, ein a machzemam, doesn't hold its spot. Ach davar kavua gam emuah, but something that's established, even if it's a little, nechsha kamechza, it's worth half. That's in the realm of brute halach. Now, but they're drush, but we can take this idea on a homiletical and very true reality. First, anything a person holds on to strong, even if it's a little bit, next is considered like 50-50. So let me explain to you what we mean over here. Let's look at the majority of our day. The majority of things that you do in our day is not spiritual. How much do you do that's really spiritual? You're up 16, 18 hours a day. How many hours are in the mundane, non-spiritual? And how many are in the spiritual? One thing's for sure, it's probably a 9-to-1 ratio. So what happens? Well, 9-to-1, it nullifies the 1. So that if it's 9 pieces of trait meat and 1 piece of kosher meat, so we assume it's all trait because the 9 nullifies the 1. But what if the 1 is a kavua? It's set. Whatever happens, hell or high water, I'm not going to let this go. Then what happens? It makes it like 50-50. It makes it like 50-50. In other words, what is a kavua in your life? What is mamish set and it cannot be moved? If it cannot be moved, it elevates things to 50-50. If you say, I daven and I never miss, that's it. And not only that, it's in the same place, not dancing around. I go to this minyan this day, that minyan that day, this minyan that day, with all kinds of cheshbonos, nothing doing. You got to say, I always daven shachris in this place, done. I always daven mincha in this place, done. Because then it's kavua. And it's kavua, it raises to 50-50. God forbid the other way also works. If 90% of your day you're learning Torah, but you have a kavua to go and see disgusting things on the internet every night, set time every night, a half an hour of just wasting your time, that's a kavua, and I have to do it, it raises the evil to 50. So that's what you got to realize. That's why it's so important. If you do HISBODEDUS with a kvius, you're always doing it. I'm not going to let it go. Even though it's a minority of the day, but it raises thing to mechza. It gives it more value. That's the point. If something is established, it's immovable. Its power is so much better than the other things. So everyone has to ask, what's your kavius? What's your set things in life? Is your work so set that if davening takes a couple extra minutes, sorry, I got to leave early. So your work is kavua, your davening isn't. It's going to be bottle in the majority. If my davening is set, and no matter what, today's an extra 10 minutes, I guess I'm going to be 10 minutes late, or I'm going to skip breakfast. I'm going to do something. If the davening is set, then the davening is set. Now it's elevated to something very serious in your life. Therefore, that's the way you have to understand how important kvius is. Just saying, I'll figure out, sometime today I'll do it. Even if you do every day, but it's always at a different time, that's not a kvius. Kvius means it's important. I can't not do it. And when you miss it, you really feel bad about it. People are used to eating in a timely fashion, breakfast and lunch, and you skip breakfast and lunch, you are hungry. And people don't miss it. There's certain things you don't miss. And some people, I cannot miss this sporting event. I cannot miss this thing. Well, that means it's very important to you. So you got to ask yourself, how many things in Yiddishkeit are that important to you? You just don't miss it. I got this. Now, okay, once in a blue moon, you're sick or something. I understand. But when it's davening versus something mundane, unless it's an emergency, then what's more important for you? And that's why if you're doing the HISBODEDUS with a kvius, you've elevated the level of the HISBODEDUS. Even if it's only 15 minutes, you've elevated. Okay, so that's what we got to start thinking about now, guys, for Rosh Chodesh Elul. You got about 12 days. Start thinking, where's that 15 minutes? We're not going out into the field so fast, okay? Because you're going to say, well, going to the field takes another 15 minutes. I don't got 45 minutes. I have all these excuses. All right? Well, I don't know if you want to scream in the parking lot. But anyway.
Plus the parking lot is the whole forest. You can scream all you want.
Okay, we'll see. We're going to talk more about this secluded place. Right now, your homework is, when is that 15 minutes going to be every day? That includes Friday, Shabbos, and Sunday. That's part of the week. Now, for some, it could be 15 minutes before davening. This would be okay. That's not considered doing your own things. That's part of davening. And in many places in Breslov, on the schedule, it says HISBODEDUS for an hour, followed by Shacharis.
We have classes.
Okay, so we have whatever. I'm just saying, but you have to figure, when is that time that there's no way? It could be the end of the night, 10 o'clock at night.
I'm saying in the middle of the night.
Always is that time. But that's the first thing we got to work on. We shall continue tomorrow with this. Somebody has a comment.
It's not me this.
I would just be saying the same things after a while. Not true. It's not true. You'll see so many more things come out.
Yeah.
And even if you say the same things, I want to know, don't you eat the same things for supper? I ate chicken last week. Oh, it's the same chicken. Right? Okay, forget it. I guess don't eat chicken anymore for the rest of your life.
You're not the same person.
Stop eating. But you will see, no, that's right. You're not the same person. And you know what? Things you like to do, you don't tire saying them again. Believe me, don't you like to have people say thank you to you? You help them out, Tzvi. I said thank you to you 3 months ago. Why do I got to thank you again? You're just doing the same thing. So that's why, thank God, the same thing. You say, Hashem, I'm so grateful I can thank you for the same thing today. Because yesterday was until yesterday. I heard a lot of people got sick from yesterday to today. There's some people who died from yesterday to today. And I'm still alive. So I got what to thank every single day is another bracha. Okay, thank you for that comment. Okay, we'll stop it over there
Oh, yeah.
and have a great